The sun rose over a quiet morning in Washington, D.C. People were starting their day, sipping coffee, and heading to work. But in the sky above, things were not normal. A fleet of 9,900 alien ships appeared in Earth's orbit. These ships, dark and foreboding, glinted in the sunlight. No one knew where they had come from or why they were there. In a large room at the Pentagon, military leaders gathered. Ethan, a skilled strategist in the United States Army, stood at the center of the room. His heart raced as he looked at the screens showing the alien ships. Each ship was massive, far larger than any aircraft known to man. The room was filled with tension as generals and officials whispered to each other, "We need to act fast." One general said, his voice shaky, "We do not know their intentions." Ethan cleared his throat, trying to stay calm. "We should prepare our defenses. We cannot let them land without a fight." He looked around the room, searching for support. "We need to mobilize our forces now." Lily, a brilliant scientist, was seated at the back of the room. She had been studying alien technology for years. Now, as she listened, she felt a mix of fear and excitement. The ships were unlike anything she had seen before. They were equipped with weapons that could destroy entire cities. "Ethan is right," Lily said, standing up. "We need to gather data on their technology. If we can find a weakness, we might stand a chance." The officials nodded, but fear hung in the air. As the meeting continued, Ethan and Lily exchanged glances. They both knew that time was running out. The aliens could strike at any moment. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the building. Everyone jumped. A voice crackled over the intercom. "This is not a drill. Enemy ships are entering Earth's atmosphere. I repeat, enemy ships are entering Earth's atmosphere." Panic spread through the room. Ethan and Lily rushed to the windows. They could see the alien ships descending, dark shadows against the blue sky. The ships moved in perfect formation, a terrifying sight for anyone watching. Ethan's mind raced. "We need to activate our defense systems. Get the National Guard on high alert. We cannot let them land." Lily quickly gathered her equipment. "I need to work on a countermeasure. If we can disrupt their technology, we might have a chance." As the two of them prepared for the worst, the first alien ships touched down across various locations worldwide. The ground shook as they landed. Reports came in of chaos erupting in cities. People screamed and ran as the ships deployed strange creatures that looked like a mix of insect and machine. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. "We need to get to the command center. We need to coordinate the response." They rushed out of the Pentagon, joining a group of soldiers heading to the command center. Outside, the streets were filled with people fleeing. Cars honked in panic and sirens wailed. The sky was darkened by the shadows of the ships still hovering above at the command center. Ethan and Lily worked alongside military leaders. They watched as reports came in from around the world. The aliens were attacking major cities. New York, London, Tokyo, everywhere was chaos. "We need to fight back," a general shouted, slamming his fist on the table. "Can't let them take our cities." Ethan nodded. "We need to organize our defenses. If we can hold them off long enough, we can regroup and strike back." Lily was focused on the screens, trying to analyze the aliens' movements. "I think their technology relies on a central command. If we can disrupt that, we might have a chance to weaken them." As they worked, Ethan felt a sense of determination grow inside him. Humanity had faced challenges before. They'd fought wars and overcome great odds, but this was different. The enemy was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Hours passed, but the battle raged on. Reports of destruction poured in. The alien ships released beams of energy that tore through buildings and vehicles. The death toll rose as people struggled to escape. Ethan and Lily watched in horror as the news showed images of destruction. "We must act now," Ethan urged. "We can't wait any longer." The military leaders agreed and began to strategize a counterattack. They decided to use fighter jets to engage the alien ships in the sky. The plan was risky, but necessary. As the jets took off, Lily felt a mix of hope and fear. She knew that each pilot was risking their life. "We need to support them," she said to Ethan. If we can provide them with information about the aliens' weaknesses, they might succeed. Ethan nodded, and they worked together to relay information to the pilots. Every second mattered as the battle raged on. Outside, the streets were filled with panic. People were trying to escape the cities, while others gathered in shelters. The air was thick with smoke, and the sounds of explosions echoed in the distance. Ethan and Lily continued to monitor the situation, trying to remain calm as chaos unfolded around them. They knew that the fate of humanity rested on their shoulders. The first reports of success came through the communication lines. Some jets had managed to hit the alien ships, causing them to falter. But there were still too many ships, and the attacks continued. Ethan felt a surge of hope. This was just the beginning. They would fight back. They had to. Together, they would find a way to protect their home. As the sun began to set, the battle raged on. The sky was filled with the sounds of jets and alien ships. The world was on the brink of destruction, but humanity was not ready to give up. They would fight for their survival. The fight for Earth had just begun. The battle for Earth intensified as the sun set. Ethan and Lily worked tirelessly in the command center, surrounded by military leaders and technicians. The screens flickered with images of chaos. Cities burned, and the sky was filled with the sounds of explosions. Ethan stood at the front, watching the battle unfold. The jets were engaging the alien ships, but the enemy's advanced technology proved difficult to overcome. "We need to find a way to hit them harder," he said, his voice firm. "If we can disrupt their formations, we might gain an advantage." Lily, typing quickly at her station, glanced at Ethan. "I'm analyzing their movements. They seem to be following a pattern. If we can predict where they will strike next, we can set up traps." Suddenly, an officer burst into the room. "We have reports from New York. The aliens are landing troops in Central Park. They are attacking civilians." Ethan's heart sank. "We need to send ground forces to protect the people. Every second counts." The military leaders quickly organized a response. They dispatched soldiers to the park, hoping to evacuate civilians and push back the alien forces. Ethan felt a mix of fear and determination. He knew that protecting the people was their top priority. As the soldiers arrived at Central Park, they encountered strange creatures pouring out of the ships. The aliens were tall and thin, with armored skin and sharp limbs. They moved quickly, attacking anything in their path. The soldiers opened fire, but the aliens seemed to absorb the bullets, their armor glimmering in the fading light in the command center. Lily watched the live feed from Central Park. "They need backup," she said urgently. "We have to provide them with support." Ethan nodded. "We'll send in air support. We have to try to drive the aliens back." Quickly relayed orders to the pilots in the air. As the jets swooped in, they unleashed bombs on the alien forces. The explosions lit up the night sky. For a moment, it seemed like the tide was turning. The aliens stumbled and fell, but more kept coming. Back in the park, the soldiers fought bravely. They used everything they could find as weapons. Up rocks, while others threw anything that could hurt the aliens. Their bravery shone through the chaos, but they were outnumbered. Fall back, a sergeant shouted. He led his team toward a safer area, trying to regroup. But the aliens were relentless, pursuing them with deadly speed. In the command center, Ethan felt a surge of frustration. "We can't lose New York. It's too important." He turned to Lily. "What about that device you were working on? Does it have any chance of working now?" Lily nodded, her eyes focused. "Yes, but I need more time to refine it. If we can create a pulse that disrupts their technology, we might stop them in their tracks." Ethan looked at the clock. "How long do you need? Just a few minutes?" "I need to connect it to the main power grid," she replied. "Do it," he said firmly. "We'll hold them off as long as we can." As Lily worked, Ethan and the other military leaders prepared to send more troops to Central Park. They knew they were in a race against time. Every moment mattered, and the stakes were high. Back in the park, the situation grew dire. The soldiers were running low on ammunition, and the aliens showed no signs of slowing down. The ground was littered with debris, and panic spread among the civilians. Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the ground. An alien ship had unleashed a blast, sending soldiers flying. The sergeant struggled to regain control of his unit. "Stay together. We can't let them break our line." Just as all hope seemed lost, the sky lit up with a bright blue light. Lily had activated her device. The pulse shot out, reaching the battlefield. For a brief moment, everything went silent. The aliens froze, their bodies twitching as if they were malfunctioning. Ethan's heart raced. "It's working," he shouted. "Now is our chance. Push forward." The soldiers, seeing the aliens falter, charged ahead. They fought with renewed strength, taking advantage of the moment. The air support dropped more bombs, and the aliens began to retreat in the command center. Lily watched with a mix of relief and excitement. "We need to keep the pulse going. We can't stop until we drive them away." Ethan nodded, focusing on the battle. "We can do this. We just need to hold them off a little longer." With the aliens disoriented, the soldiers advanced, fought fiercely, pushing the alien forces back into the park. The aliens, now vulnerable, struggled to regroup. As the night wore on, the tide of the battle shifted. The soldiers found their courage, driven by the hope that they might save their city. They fought side by side, using everything they had at their disposal. But just as victory seemed within reach, a larger alien ship descended from the sky. It was different from the others, with a glowing core that pulsed ominously. A low hum filled the air, and the soldiers paused, fear creeping back into their hearts. "What is that?" one soldier asked, pointing at the ship. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. "I don't know, but we need to prepare for anything." The larger ship opened a hatch and a new wave of aliens poured out. These creatures looked more powerful, with thicker armor and larger weapons. They moved with precision, and the soldiers struggled to adjust. "Fall back," the sergeant yelled. "We need to regroup and find cover." The soldiers scrambled, retreating to a safer position. The aliens pressed forward, using their advanced weapons to push the humans back. The situation was quickly deteriorating. In the command center, Lily's device flickered. "It's losing power," she exclaimed. "I need more energy to keep it active." Ethan felt panic rise. "Can we redirect power from other systems?" he asked, trying to think fast. "Yes, but it will take time," Lily replied, her fingers flying over the keyboard. "Do it," Ethan commanded. "We can't let this moment slip away." With a sense of urgency, Lily worked to reroute the power. Outside, the battle raged on. The soldiers fought bravely, but the larger aliens were pushing them back. Ethan knew they had to hold on, need to buy Lily some time. "Everyone, focus on that larger ship. Need to take it down." The soldiers nodded, determination filling their hearts. They aimed their weapons at the new threat, knowing that the fate of New York rested on their shoulders as they fought. The air filled with the sounds of gunfire and explosions. The aliens were fierce, but humanity's spirit burned bright. They would not give up without a fight. Finally, a loud roar echoed as the larger ship took damage. The soldiers cheered, but Ethan knew the battle was far from over. They had to keep pushing, keep fighting, and hope for a miracle. In that moment, they were united. Humans, fighting together against an overwhelming enemy, fueled by the hope of survival. And as the night continued, they proved that they would not back down. They would fight for their homes, their families, and their future. The battle continued to rage in Central Park. The soldiers, fueled by adrenaline and fear, fought against the relentless alien forces. The larger alien ship loomed above, casting a dark shadow over the chaos below. Its presence filled everyone with dread, but the humans were determined to push back. Ethan stood with the command team in the command center, watching the battle unfold on the screens. He could see the soldiers struggling against the new wave of aliens. "We need to find a way to disable that ship," he said, his voice steady but filled with urgency. Lily was still at her station, her hands moving quickly across her keyboard. "If we can hit the core of that ship, we might be able to take it down, but we need to time it perfectly." Ethan nodded, knowing that timing was crucial. "Let's coordinate with the soldiers on the ground. We need to give them specific targets to aim for." The command team began relaying orders to the soldiers in Central Park. "Focus on the larger ship. Aim for the glowing core." Back in the park, The soldiers were fighting bravely, but felt the weight of fear. The larger aliens were stronger and more organized than the previous ones. They pushed the soldiers back, but they were determined not to give up. "Keep fighting," shouted the sergeant. "Can't let them take this part." As the soldiers regrouped, they aimed their weapons at the larger ship. The air was thick with tension, and every soldier held their breath. Ethan's voice came through their communication devices. "On my signal, fire at the core." Lily continued to monitor the energy levels of the alien ship. "It's charging. Up for another blast? We need to act fast." Ethan's heart raced. 3, 2, 1. Now. Fire. The soldiers opened fire, a rain of bullets and missiles aimed at the glowing core of the large ship. The blasts lit up the night sky, and for a moment it seemed like they might succeed. The core flickered and the ship shuddered, but the aliens were not done yet. The larger ship retaliated, sending out a pulse of energy that knocked several soldiers off their feet. The ground shook as the blast hit, and the soldiers struggled to regain their balance. Ethan felt a surge of frustration. "Them recover. Keep the pressure on." The soldiers fought back, firing relentlessly at the core. Finally, a loud explosion erupted from the ship. It shook the ground, and the core burst into flames. The larger ship began to tilt, and the soldiers cheered. "Keep going. Don't stop now," the sergeant shouted, urging his men forward. As the larger ship began to fall, the soldiers felt a renewed sense of hope. But then the remaining alien forces, seeing their command ship in trouble, became more aggressive. They charged at the soldiers. "With renewed fury, we have to hold them off," Ethan shouted. "We cannot let them take back control." In the command center, Lily was focused on her device. "I'm going to strengthen the pulse. We can create a bigger disruption in their ranks." She worked quickly, knowing that every second mattered. The soldiers on the ground fought fiercely. They used everything they had, from rifles to improvised weapons. The determination in their hearts drove them forward. They would not let their city fall. As the large ship crashed to the ground, it exploded in a massive fireball. The shockwave knocked many soldiers back, but they quickly got back on their feet. The aliens hesitated, unsure of their next move. "Now is our chance," Ethan yelled. "Push forward. Let's drive them out." With a loud battle cry, the soldiers charged. The aliens, seeing their command ship destroyed, began to retreat. The soldiers pressed on, using the momentum to reclaim the park. Lily watched from the command center, her heart racing. "They're doing it. They're pushing them back." Ethan smiled, feeling a sense of pride in the soldiers' bravery. "Let's keep the pressure on. We can't let them regroup." As the battle continued, reports came in from other cities. The aliens were attacking all over the world, but humanity was fighting back. In every corner of the globe, soldiers, civilians, and leaders were coming together to stand against the threat. New York is holding strong. "But we need to send reinforcements to other areas," Ethan nodded. "We must coordinate with other command centers. Every city needs our help." Lily continued to monitor the situation. "We can disrupt their communications. We might be able to weaken them even further. I can set up a signal to jam their communications." "Do it," Ethan replied. "We need to cut off their coordination." As Lily worked on the jamming signal, Ethan focused on the battle outside. The soldiers were gaining ground, but the fight was far from over. They needed to keep pushing until they had driven the aliens away completely. In Central Park, the atmosphere changed. The soldiers were no longer fighting against despair. They were fighting for victory. They worked together, covering each other as they advanced. The aliens, now disorganized, struggled to hold their ground. Suddenly, a loud roar echoed as a new wave of alien reinforcements arrived. They descended from the remaining ships, ready to fight. The soldiers braced themselves for the onslaught. "Hold your ground," the sergeant shouted. "Can't let them take back what we've gained." The soldiers prepared for battle, their determination shining through. They knew that they were fighting for their homes, their families, and their future. Lily activated the jamming signal, and suddenly the alien communications crackled and fell silent. "It's working. They can't coordinate." Ethan felt a rush of hope. Now is the time to strike. Let's take them by surprise. With renewed strength, the soldiers charged at the incoming aliens. The element of surprise worked in their favor, and they pushed the aliens back further. The soldiers fought bravely, refusing to give up. As the battle raged on, the sense of unity among the soldiers grew. They fought side by side, supporting one another. Each victory, no matter how small, fueled their determination. Finally, after hours of fighting, the aliens began to retreat. The soldiers cheered as they saw the alien forces pull back, their ships rising into the air. "Keep pushing," Ethan shouted. "Don't let them escape." With one final push, the soldiers advanced, forcing the remaining aliens to flee. The sound of their engines filled the air as they left Earth's atmosphere. As the last ship disappeared into the night sky, a wave of relief washed over everyone. They had done it. They had fought back against the alien invasion. In the command center, the atmosphere changed from tension to celebration. Ethan and Lily exchanged proud smiles. They had survived the first wave, but they knew the fight was not over. "Now we need to regroup and prepare for what comes next," Ethan said, his voice steady. Lily nodded, her expression serious. "We need to analyze what we learned from this battle. The aliens will be back." Ethan looked out at the city, the lights shining through the smoke. "We will be ready. We'll fight for our planet." With that, they turned to the task ahead. Humanity had faced a great challenge, but they had proven their strength. Together, they would prepare for whatever came next. The victory in Central Park brought a moment of relief, but the war was far from over. Ethan and Lily gathered with military leaders in the command center to discuss their next steps. The room was filled with maps, reports, and the smell of coffee. Everyone knew they had to prepare for the next wave of alien attacks. Ethan stood at the front, looking at the faces of the men and women around him. "Fought hard, but we cannot let our guard down. The aliens will return, and we need to be ready." Lily nodded, flipping through her notes. "We learned a lot from the last battle. We need to focus on their technology and find a way to exploit their weaknesses." One of the generals spoke up. "We know they rely on communication between their ships. If we can disrupt that again, we might have a chance to weaken them during the next attack." Ethan agreed. "Let's focus on developing more advanced jamming devices. We need to cut off their coordination before they can regroup." They discussed strategies. Reports came in from other cities. The aliens had been seen retreating, but they were not gone for good. Ethan knew that the world would need to unite for the next phase of the fight. "We must reach out to our allies," he said. "We need a global response. This is not just about New York or Washington. It's about the survival of humanity." Lily began drafting a message to other nations. "We must share what we know about the aliens. If we combine our resources, we can stand a better chance against them." As the plans took shape, the atmosphere in the command center shifted. There was a sense of determination that replaced the fear. The people in the room were ready to fight for their planet. Meanwhile, outside, the streets of New York were filled with people. Many were still in shock from the recent battle. Some were mourning lost loved ones, while others were trying to rebuild. But there was also a feeling of hope. The people had seen what they could achieve together. Ethan and Lily stepped out into the city. The sun shone brightly, but the scars of battle were still visible. Buildings were damaged, and debris littered the streets. As they walked, they saw soldiers helping civilians. People were working together, clearing the rubble and providing support to one another. Ethan felt a sense of pride. This is what humanity is capable of. We come together in times of crisis. We fight for each other. Lily smiled. "We have the spirit to overcome this. We just need to harness it into something powerful." As they continued their walk, they reached a community center where volunteers were gathering supplies for those in need. Ethan and Lily joined them, helping to distribute food, water, and blankets. Now, the sense of community was strong, and it felt good to contribute. Later that day, Ethan returned to the command center. He found the military leaders deep in discussion. "What's the latest?" he asked. One of the officers looked up. "We have received reports from other countries. They're preparing their defenses and sharing their information." "Right. It seems the World is uniting against this threat. He then felt a surge of hope. That's what we need. Together, we can be strong. As the days passed, the world prepared for the next attack. Scientists worked on developing new technology, while soldiers trained harder than ever. They knew the aliens would return, and they would be ready. One evening, Lily called a meeting with Ethan. "I've been working on something," she said, her eyes bright with excitement. "I think I can create a device that can not only jam their communications, but also disrupt their navigation systems." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "How would that work?" "If we can send out a signal that interferes with their navigation, we could make it difficult for them to coordinate their movements. It would be lost and vulnerable," she explained. "That sounds promising," Ethan replied. "How long will it take to build?" Lily thought for a moment. "If I have the right materials, I can have a prototype ready in a week." "Let's make it happen," Ethan said. "We need every advantage we can get." As Lily began her work, Ethan coordinated with the military leaders to gather the necessary materials. They worked late into the night, driven by the urgency of their mission. The atmosphere in the command center was electric with energy and determination. More soldiers joined the effort, eager to contribute. Each person understood the importance of their work. They were not just fighting for themselves, but for everyone on Earth. Days turned into a week, and finally, Lily stood before the assembled team, holding her prototype device. "This is it," she said, her voice steady. "If we can deploy this during the next attack, it could change everything." Ethan examined the device. It was compact, with lights blinking and screens displaying data. "Great work, Lily. This could be our game changer." As the team prepared for the next round of attacks, they received intelligence about the aliens' movements. Reports indicated that the Zarnok Empire was regrouping. They were planning a new assault, and this time they would come in full force. Ethan felt the tension rise. "We need to use Lily's device effectively. We must deploy it as soon as they arrive." The day of the expected attack arrived. The skies darkened as alien ships appeared on the horizon. The sight of them sent shivers down the spines of everyone in the command center. But this time, there was no panic. The humans were ready. "Prepared the defenses," Ethan shouted. "Is our moment." Soldiers took their positions, and the command center buzzed with activity. Lily set up her device, connecting it to the main power grid. As the aliens began their descent, Ethan watched the screens. "Stay focused," he said to his team. "We've trained for this. We know what to do." The first alien ships touched down, and the battle began. The soldiers engaged in fierce combat, but this time they were ready. The jamming device activated, sending out a pulse that disrupted the aliens' communications. Ethan watched as the alien ships began to falter. Confusion spread among the ranks of the Zarnok forces. They struggled to coordinate their attacks. "It's working," he shouted. Lily monitored the device, her heart racing. "We need to keep the signal strong. If we can maintain it, we can turn the tide." The soldiers pressed forward, taking advantage of the chaos among the aliens. They fought bravely, using their training and the element of surprise to their advantage. The jamming device was a success, and the aliens were losing their grip on the situation. As the battle raged on, Ethan felt a sense of hope. Humanity was fighting back, united and strong. They were no longer just defending. They were taking the fight to the enemy. With each passing moment, the tide of battle shifted. The soldiers pushed the aliens back, reclaiming their city and their planet. In that moment, they proved that together they could overcome even the greatest threats. The battle raged on, and the jamming device continued to disrupt the Zarnok forces. Ethan and Lily watched as the soldiers fought bravely, pushing the aliens back further. The atmosphere was filled with a mix of fear and hope. This was their chance to turn the tide of the war. Ethan stood at the command center, his heart racing. "We need to keep the pressure on them," he said. "The moment we let up, they might regroup and strike back harder." Lily, focused on the screens, nodded. "The device is working. They are confused and disorganized. We just need to maintain the signal." Outside, the soldiers took advantage of the chaos. They fought fiercely, using everything they had learned in the previous battles. Zarnak soldiers, unable to communicate effectively, were falling apart. They hesitated, unsure of their next move. "Push forward," Sergeant shouted, rallying the troops. "We can't let them recover." The soldiers charged at the alien forces, their determination shining through. They fought side by side, covering each other and using the element of surprise to their advantage. With every step, they pushed the Zarnak back as the battle continued. Ethan received reports from other cities. The world was watching and fighting alongside them. Countries that had been quiet before were now joining the fight. This was a global effort. Humanity was uniting against a common enemy. "Other nations are sending reinforcements," an officer reported. "They want to help us push the Zarnak back." Ethan felt a surge of hope. That's what we need. We are not alone in this fight. Meanwhile, Lily adjusted the settings on her jamming device. "If we can keep this signal strong, we can disrupt their entire command structure. They won't know what hit them." Hours passed, and the sun began to rise, casting light on the battlefield. The soldiers fought tirelessly, and the tide of battle had shifted in their favor. They were pushing the Zarnak back to their ships. "Keep going," Ethan shouted. "We can't stop now." As the battle reached a critical point, Ethan noticed a group of Zarnak soldiers trying to regroup near one of their ships. They were attempting to communicate, but the jamming device was causing chaos. Ethan felt a surge of determination. "We need to cut them off before they can escape." He rallied the soldiers. "We need to take out that ship. If we can destroy it, we can prevent them from retreating." The soldiers nodded, their faces filled with resolve. They charged toward the Zarnak ship, fighting through the remaining alien forces. The soldiers worked together, covering each other as they advanced. Lily watched the action from the command center. "Ethan, be careful. There. Still dangerous?" Ethan felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders, but he pushed it aside. "We have to take this chance. We can't let them get away." As the soldiers reached the Zarnak ship, they encountered fierce resistance. The aliens fought back, using their advanced weapons. But the humans were determined. They fought with everything they had, refusing to give up. Ethan led the charge, his heart pounding in his chest. He could see the fear in the eyes of the Zarnak soldiers. They were losing, and they knew it. With a final push, the soldiers breached the ship's defenses. "Plant the explosives," Ethan shouted. "We need to destroy it." The soldiers quickly set the charges, working as a team. They moved with urgency, knowing that every second counted. As they finished, the alarms on the ship began to blare. "Get back," one soldier yelled as they ran away from the ship. The soldiers took cover as the explosives detonated. A massive explosion rocked the area, sending debris flying. The Zarnak ship was destroyed. The blast sent a shockwave through the battlefield. Ethan and the soldiers watched as the remnants of the ship scattered across the sky. The Zarnak forces, now in complete disarray, began to retreat. The humans pressed forward, taking advantage of the chaos. "Keep pushing," Ethan shouted. "We can drive them out of our skies." With the Zarnak ship destroyed, the remaining alien forces faltered. The soldiers fought with renewed strength, pushing the aliens back toward their remaining ships. The jamming device continued to work, disrupting their communication and making it difficult for them to regroup. As the battle continued, Ethan received reports from other cities. The coordinated effort was paying off. The Zarnak forces were being driven back across the globe. Humanity was fighting back with everything they had. Finally, after hours of fighting, the Zarnak forces began to withdraw completely. The remaining ships took off, disappearing into the sky. The battlefield fell silent as the last of the alien forces fled. Ethan looked around, taking in the sight of his fellow soldiers. They were exhausted, but victorious. The humans had stood together, fighting for their planet, and they had won. "Great job, everyone," Ethan shouted. "We did it. We pushed them back." Cheers erupted from the soldiers, and they celebrated their hard-fought victory. But amidst the celebration, Ethan felt a weight in his heart. This was only the beginning. Zarnak might return, and they needed to be ready. Lily joined him, a smile on her face. "We did it, Ethan. We showed them what humanity is capable." Of Ethan nodded, looking out at the battlefield. But we can't let our guard down. We need to prepare for whatever comes next. As the sun rose higher in the sky, the soldiers began to regroup. They tended to the wounded and started to clear the debris. The sense of community was strong. They had fought for each other, and now they would rebuild together. News of their victory spread quickly. Around the world, people celebrated. Countries that had been at odds before united in their relief and joy. Humanity had faced a great threat and emerged stronger. Ethan and Lily returned to the command center, where the mood was electric. Leaders from other nations joined them, eager to discuss the future. Now is the time to strengthen our alliances, one leader said. We need to share our technology and knowledge. Together we can prepare for any future attacks. Ethan agreed. We must work together to ensure our survival. We are stronger, united than divided. As they discussed their plans, a feeling of hope filled the room. The world had come together in a time of crisis, and they would continue to stand together. In the days that followed, humanity focused on rebuilding and preparing. They strengthened their defenses and shared knowledge about the Zarnok. They were ready to face any challenge that lay ahead. Ethan and Lily watched as the world began to heal. They knew that the fight was not over, but they felt a renewed sense of purpose. It had proven that humanity could rise to any challenge. Together, they would face the future, ready to protect their planet and each other. Humanity had faced its greatest threat and had emerged victorious. Now, they would stand together, united against whatever came next.